So now we're moving on in Unit 5 to Part 2, Social Interaction, Groups, and Social Structure. In Part 1, we began to understand social structure. How do the Sneetches, a children's storybook by Dr. Seuss, help to explain social structure, the elements of social structure, statuses, social scripts, groups, and organizations? You can watch the video now or click on the next slide in the PowerPoint to watch The Sneetches by Dr. Seuss. Please watch the video, The Sneetches, prior to continuing with this video.
By Dr. Seuss. Now the star-belly Sneetches had bellies with stars. The plain-belly Sneetches had none upon theirs. Those stars weren't so big, they were really so small, you might think such a thing wouldn't matter at all. But because they had stars, all the star-belly Sneetches would brag, "We're the best kind of Sneetch on the beaches." With their snoots in the air, they would sniff and they'd snort. "We'll have nothing to do with the plain-belly sort." And whenever they met some, when they were out walking, they'd hike right on past them without even talking. When the star-belly children went out to play ball, could a plain-belly get in the game? Not at all. You only could play if your bellies had stars, and the plain-belly children had none upon theirs. When the star-belly Sneetches had frankfurter roast, or picnics or parties or marshmallow toast, they never invited the plain-belly Sneetches. They left them out cold in the dark of the beaches. They kept them away, never let them come near, and that's how they treated them year after year. Then one day, it seems, while the plain-belly Sneetches were moping and doping alone on the beaches, just sitting there wishing their bellies had stars, a stranger zipped up in the strangest of cars. "My friends," he announced in a voice clear and keen, "my name is Sylvester McMonkey McBean, and I've heard of your troubles. I've heard you're unhappy, but I can fix that. I'm the fix-it-up chappie. I've come here to help you. I have what you need, and my prices are low, and I work at great speed, and my work is 100% guaranteed." Then quickly Sylvester McMonkey McBean put together a very peculiar machine, and he said, "You want stars like a star-belly Sneetch? My friends, you can have them for $3 each. Just pay me your money and hop right aboard." So they clambered inside. Then the big machine roared, and it clonked, and it bonked, and it jerked, and it burked, and it bopped them about. But the thing really worked. When the plain-belly Sneetches popped out, they had stars. They actually did. They had stars upon theirs. Then they yelled at the ones who had stars at the start, "We're exactly like you. You can't tell us apart. We're all just the same now, you snooty old smarties, and now we can go to your frankfurter parties." "Good grief," groaned the ones who had stars at the first. "We're still the best Sneetches, and they are the worst. But now how in the world will we know," they all frowned, "if which kind is what, or the other way round?" Then up came McBean with a very sly wink, and he said, "Things are not quite as bad as you think. So you don't know who's who. That is perfectly true. But come with me, friends. Do you know what I'll do? I'll make you again the best Sneetches on beaches, and all it will cost you is $10 eaches." "Belly stars are no longer in style," said McBean. "What you need is a trip through my Star-Off machine. This wondrous contraption will take off your stars, so you won't look like Sneetches who have them on theirs." And that handy machine, working very precisely, removed all the stars from their tummies quite nicely. Then, with snoots in the air, they paraded about, and they opened their beaks and they let out a shout. "We know who is who, now there isn't a doubt. The best kind of Sneetches are Sneetches without." Then, of course, those with stars all got frightfully mad. To be wearing a star now was frightfully bad. Then, of course, old Sylvester McMonkey McBean invited them into his star-off machine. Then, of course, from then on, as you probably guess, things really got into a horrible mess. All the rest of that day, on those wild, screaming beaches, the fix-it-up chappie kept fixing up Sneetches. Off again, on again, in again, out again. Through the machines they raced round and about again, changing their stars every minute or two. They kept paying money. They kept running through, until neither the plane nor the Starbellies knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. Then when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix-it-up chappie packed up, and he went. And he laughed as he drove in his car up the beach. They never will learn. No, you can't teach a Sneetch. But McBean was quite wrong. I'm quite happy to say that the Sneetches got really quite smart on that day. That day they decided that Sneetches are Sneetches, and no kind of Sneetch is the best on the beaches. That day all the Sneetches forgot about stars, and whether they had one or not upon theirs.
Using the Sneetches as an example, what is the social structure? What are the patterns of social behavior? Star on, star off. Repeated patterns over time. They kept going through the machine. Patterns repeated across generations. You could see that in the video. Interrelationships of parts of a social system. Master status. The status that dominates all others. In the beginning, it was the Sneetches with stars. Ascribed, advantages and disadvantages assigned at birth. The Sneetches with stars were advantaged. The Sneetches without stars were disadvantaged. Achieved, attributes that individuals gain throughout their lifetime based on effort. The Sneetches without stars were able to get stars. They achieved that ascribed status that the other ones were born with. In role, what role did the stars play? What was the conflict that arose for those who didn't have a star, and then for those who did have a star? And what was the strain? The strain was built on the norms. And the exit, how did they exit their role? They had their stars removed and put back on, and removed and put back on. Looking at the elements of social structure, the primary group. The primary group is a small, intimate group. Previously, we used the example of a family, so that would be the Sneetches with stars. Secondary group is more formal and personal. That would be the rest of the group. The in-group, if you had the stars, then you were the in-group. If you didn't have a star, then you were the out-group. And the reference group, who the Sneetches refer themselves to, were the ones with the stars. So looking at the organizational structure, it was very well organized. There was formal organization, deliberately planned groups that coordinated people. That was evident with Sylvester McMonkey McBean, the fix-it-up chappie, and his fancy machine. And bureaucracies, the formal organizations that thrive in both the private and public sector. And certainly Sylvester McMonkey McBean was, in this small clip, his own bureaucracy. So how do the Sneetches explain theory? Think about the Sneetches as we go through the four main theories in sociology: structural functionist theory, conflict theory, symbolic interactions theory, and feminist theory. With structural functionalism, systems are made up of people interacting with each other. Some people need to have special roles in order to keep society in order. This is a division of labor. Who does what? And that's evident with the Sneetches. Who does what, whether you have a star or whether you don't have a star, or whether you're the fix-it-up chappie. Gemeinschaft is communities, small-scale communal orders based on a shared past. Gesellschaft is a society as a collection of free citizens. Contract and communal exchange, more modern, and not based on emotion. Conflict theory says that the purpose of social institutions is to serve to maintain the privileges of the most powerful in society. So we have the bourgeoisie, who are the haves, they are the owners, and the proletariat, they are the have-nots, the workers. In the example with the Sneetches, in the beginning, the bourgeoisie were the Sneetches with the stars, and the proletariat, the have-nots, were the Sneetches without stars. Symbolic interactionist, people take on new roles all the time. We have our front-facing self, the best we can be in a situation. That's Goffman. This is impression management, which may include our master status. And we label ourselves and others. Those who have stars are better than those who don't have stars. And what do the symbols mean to different people? Feminist theory. Social structures help to maintain power and privilege, similar to conflict theory. The focus is on gender and who has a power based on gender identity. The key points of Unit 5. All our social interactions take place within a social structure. All social structures can be broken down into 5 elements: status, social roles, groups, social networks, and social institutions. Organizations are large groups that have a collective goal or purpose. Formal organizations are deliberately planned groups. Bureaucracies are formal organizations in modern societies created to be efficient and effective. The purpose of social structures in a society are viewed differently according to the functionalist, conflict, symbolic interactionist, and feminist perspective. Coming up next is Unit 6, Chapter 6 in your textbook, Class Inequality.